Hello everyone, I hope you're having a good day. My name is Melvin Willis and I'm running for Richmond City Council. I'm making this video in response to a decision that was made at the September 13th City Council meeting just a couple of days ago from now. On the City Council agenda, there was an agenda item to put a moratorium on rent increases and evictions in the city of Richmond for a certain amount of time. The moratorium was put on the agenda because recently we found out that there are a lot of tenants in the city of Richmond that are being evicted. Not just a few tenants, but over 100 or more tenants in certain areas of Richmond are being evicted, particularly off of Creekview, which is located on the border of Richmond and El Sobrante. At the City Council meeting, a lot of these tenants actually showed up to share their story to the City Council. A lot of the tenants expressed that they would not have anywhere to go, that they've been living there for years, and that this was so unexpected. And they were calling on the City Council to pass and adopt a moratorium to give them enough time to figure out how to go about this eviction and possibly giving them a stronger chance to stay in their residency today. Unfortunately, though, the City Council did not pass a moratorium because in order to pass a moratorium on rent increases and evictions happening in the city of Richmond, you need 6 out of the 7 votes to say yes. I want to thank the people that did say yes first: Gail McLaughlin, Jovanka Beckles, Eduardo Martinez, and J.L. Myrick. I deeply appreciate the decision you guys made to stand by the tenants, especially after hearing their testimony. The folks who voted no were Mayor Tom Butt, Councilmember Vinay Pimple, and Councilmember Nat Bates. In a e-form that Tom Butt sent out making a statement in response to what happened to that City Council night, he basically said that it was a way to have an action, if you will, to push the rent control and just cause for eviction measure through the City Council. Also, there was a reference in his e-form that called it political theater as well. During the City Council night, when Mayor Tom Butt was addressing the moratorium, he talked about supply and demand, and he also used a example that I do not even want to comprehend about putting moratoriums on chickens and turkeys as well. Nat Bates, when he was addressing the moratorium, looked at the clock and decided to count down the hours and minutes that we spent talking on this item, and reference to past times that moratorium on rent increases and evictions was put on the agenda and the fact that they voted it no, that they didn't vote it through. And Vinay Pimple simply said nothing the entire time. The problem that I have with the demeanor and how they went about that decision, not just because they didn't pass this moratorium after hearing several tenants who are facing eviction right now, tenants who are facing eviction today, even after hearing those stories, they still voted no. But the problem that I have with it, how they went about it too, is they didn't even address the fact that these tenants were even there. They did not speak to the fact that the tenants came there to share their own story about what they're facing in their eviction. They talked about how Richmond Progressive Alliance and Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment was using this as a ploy or a tool to boost up the political support around rent control and just cause for eviction. We are all, RPA and ACE Action, we are all in support of rent control and just cause for eviction. But this moratorium on rent increases and eviction this night had nothing to do really with rent control or just cause for eviction, and everything to do with the tenants that showed up that night looking to figure out how they can stay in their homes. tenants who were not really that engaged in the political process. They're just living their lives as average, everyday people, just trying to get through the day and enjoy themselves while they're doing it. And these same tenants were served eviction notices, and a lot of eviction notices, over 100 eviction notices were served to these tenants. The rug was pulled out from underneath them, and now they do not know where they're going to go or what they're going to do, and the only thing they want to do is stay. And those tenants came out to that city council night to figure out how they were going to stay in Richmond, how they were not going to be inconvenienced of having to find a new place to go. Mayor Tom Budd, Councilmember Nat Bates, and Councilmember Vinay Pimple did not acknowledge those tenants once. I did not see them acknowledging any of those tenants or any of the stories once. Instead, they decided to blame their political differences and point of views on RPA and ACE, called it a RPA and ACE demonstration. RPA and ACE engaged with these tenants. RPA and ACE are helping provide resources to these tenants and connecting them with folks that have legal expertise around housing law and housing justice to figure out what they can do so they're not homeless. And RPA and ACE took a strong lead to bring those tenants to their city council members and allow themselves to express their stories and their situation in a public process. And Mayor Tom Budd, Councilmember Nat Bates, and Councilmember Vinay Pimple ignored them and did not acknowledge them at all. This night, this city council agenda, for me personally, was not about rent control or just cause for eviction. It was about the unjust evictions that was being done to these tenants. And in all the statements that were made over the past few days, in all the back and forth arguments that I've seen, not once have I seen any of those council members talk about what's going to happen to these tenants and how we are going to support them. So, in closing, if you want to figure out how to get involved so we can support tenants who are facing unjust evictions, please leave me a comment below and I will connect you to all the places on how we can get involved to help these tenants that are facing evictions stay in Richmond. And just so you know, Councilmember Nat Bates and Councilmember Vinay Pimple are up for re-election this year. And on Tuesday, they turned a blind eye to the struggle of residents that were facing eviction, and with the power that they had to give them a little more time to figure out what they were going to do and if they could stop these evictions, they chose to ignore them and voted no. So once again, if you want to get involved, please leave a comment below, and I will connect you to the folks that are helping work with these tenants and anybody who is facing evictions in Richmond. And I appreciate you for listening. Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day.